Assalamu alaikum dear students. Welcome to another lecture. Dear student, this is lecture number 38 for grade 7 and this is lecture number 5 of the final term. Dear students, totally with this lecture 38 lectures are delivered for grade 7 in English subject. Dear students, in today's lecture, inshallah, I will discuss in detail lesson number 28, the murder of Roger Ackroyd. The Roger Ackroyd murder is mentioned here in detail in this lesson. Inshallah, we will discuss it in detail. Dear students, I think this is fifth lesson and the last lesson of English Book A of the final term. So hope you will learn this lesson well, and I hope you learned and understood the previous lectures well. Dear students, before this lecture, in the previous lecture I discussed in detail lesson number 27, the elephants of Sargabal, where some characters are mentioned, their deeds and actions are described in that lesson, and their conversation with each other. So hope you learned that well. And dear students, today's lesson is the murder of Roger Ackroyd. Today, inshallah, we will discuss it in detail. So let's start today's lesson. This is lesson number 28, the murder of Roger Ackroyd. Agatha Christie is a very well-known writer of the detective stories, and the murder of Roger Ackroyd is probably the best known of her books. Dear students, Agatha Christie, this is a writer. She is a writer of the stories. She wrote many stories, almost detective stories. And The Murder of Roger Ackroyd is her famous book, her famous story book. Like all good detective stories, it contains a murder, in fact, more than one. A number of interesting characters, a plan of the house in which the murder took place, and of course the detective again, as in all good detective stories. We are not told who the murderer is until the last chapter, and then it comes as a great surprise. Dear students, in this lesson, the murder of a person is described in detail by the writer in an interesting way that when the reader reads this lesson, the story, he didn't find who is the murderer and how the murder happened. But at the end of the story, in the last chapter, then the writer tells us the murderer to make us surprised. Not anyone likes detective stories, but reading the book is a good way of finding out whether you do or not. The passage that follows is the first chapter of the book, retold for easy reading by George Ware. So this is the passage taken from that story, from the story The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. So this passage, Dr. Shepherd at the breakfast table, this is taken from that story. Mrs. Ferrars died on the night of the 16th, 17th September, a Thursday. I was sent for at 8 o'clock on the morning of Friday, the 17th. There was nothing. There was nothing to be done. She had been dead some hours. It was just a few minutes after 9 when I reached home once more. I opened the front door with my key and purposely delayed a few moments in the hall, hanging up my hat and coat. To tell the truth, I was very worried. I am not going to protect that at that moment I knew what would happen in the next few weeks. I certainly did not do so, but I had a strong feeling that exciting times were coming. For the dining room came the noise of teacups and the sharp, dry cup of my sister Caroline. Now the writer tells us that how the murder happened there, and also she shared this with his sister Caroline. Basically, his sister Caroline is a detective one, and she knows everything before the things happen. She knows, and she has the connection to find the facts and to find the news about happening around her. So here is a bit of little bit of conversation between the Caroline, the sister of the writer, the teller. So from is that you, James? She called an unnecessary question, for who else could it be? It was my sister Caroline who was the cause of my few minutes' delay. She was very clever, indeed, too clever at finding things out. She having a detective mood. What is more, Caroline can do any amount of finding out by sitting quietly at home. Now she is sitting at home, but she can learn all the things happening around her. I do not know how she manages it, but she does. I suspect that she makes good use of the servants and the tradesmen in this. He do detection through the help of the tradesmen and similarly take the help of the servant in their home. When she goes out, it is not to gather information, but to spend it, to spread it. When she goes out of the home, she spread the news to the other people that this happened and like this happened. She know already about that things, but just to spread it in the people. She is very good at this also. It was because of this that I delayed whatever I told Caroline now about the death of Mrs. Ferrars would be common knowledge all over the village in an hour and a half. There I had got into the habit of keeping from her all the information that I can. She usually finds out just the same, but that is not my fault. Mrs. Ferrar's husband died just over a year ago, and Caroline has frequently said, without any reason or proof, that his wife poisoned him. So she refuses to listen when I say that Mr. Ferrars died of the disease of the stomach, made worse by the habit of over drinking strong spirits. It is true that the signs of the disease are very like those of the poisoning, but Caroline does not base her accusation on this fact. You have only got to look at her, I have heard her say. As I stood hesitating in the hall with all his passing through my mind, Caroline's voice came again more sharply. What on earth you are doing out there, James? Why don't you come and get your breakfast? Just coming, my dear, I said. I have been hanging up my coat. So, dear student, this was the conversation between the brother and sister about the death of Mr. Ferrars and Mrs. Ferrars. So, the brother tells us that the sister is aware of the all happening around her, and she know early everything, and she is a mean of spreading the news in the neighborhood in quickly or in hurry. So let's move to another page. Dear students, this is another page of the same lesson, and this is conversation between the brother and sister. You could have hang up half a dozen coats in this time. She was quite right. I could have done so. I walked into the dining room and sat down to breakfast. You have you have had an early call, remarked Caroline. Yes, it was Mrs. Ferrars. I know, said my sister. How did you know? Annie told me. Annie is our maid servant, a nice girl but a great talker. There was a pause. I went on eating my breakfast. Well, asked Caroline at last. A bad business, nothing to be done. She must have died in her sleep. I know, said my sister again. This time I was annoyed. I was surprised. You can't know, I answered rudely. I did not know myself till I got there, and I have not told anyone yet. The milkman told me he had it from Mrs. Ferrar's cook. As I said, there is no need for Caroline to go out to get information. She sits at home and it comes to her. The news come to her. What did she die of? Asked my sister, heart failure. So did not the milkman tell you that? Caroline paid no attention to the way I spoke. He did not know, she said seriously. After all, Caroline would know sooner or later. She might as well hear from me. She died from taking too much Veronal. This is, dear student, a kind of medicine used for the sleep, medicine which send a person to sleep. So she died from taking too much Veronal. I explained she's been taking it lately for sleeplessness. It was not an accident, declared Caroline. She did it on purpose, I know. There you go again, I said angrily. Though in my heart I secretly believed Caroline was right. Why on earth should Mrs. Ferrars wish to kill herself? A widow quite young, rich, and in good health, with nothing to do but enjoy life. Don't be so don't be so foolish. I'm right. She's been looking very worried lately. She is sorry for her crime. You would not believe me when I said that she poisoned her husband. I'm quite sure of it now. I told her firmly that her whole idea was nonsense. I was all the more firm because I secretly agreed with some part of, at least, of what she had said. I did not want Caroline going round the village telling everyone what she thought people would think she had got the ideas from me. You wait and see, she said. I expect Mrs. Ferrars left a letter confessing everything. She did not leave a letter of any kind, I answered sharply. Oh, so you did inquire about that, did you? I believe, James, that in fact you think very much as I do. Will there be an inquest? Inquest is, dear students, official inquiry into a sudden death. So the sister asked, will there be an inquest? If I declare myself quite satisfied that it was an accident, that it was an accident, there will be no need for an inquest. And are you quite satisfied? I did not answer, but got up from the table. So, dear student, this was a patient taken from the story The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. Dr. Shepard at the breakfast. This was the brother sister conversation about the murder of Mrs. Ferrar and Mr. Ferrar. So basically, this is a detective story where the brother is a doctor who went to the murder place, and his sister, which is Caroline, she is a detective minded woman and she knows things before the happening, or she has the means and she has the links that she get the news and information about the happening. So before the Dr. Shepard reached to his home, when he reached, he found Caroline at the hall, the dining hall, and he know that before his arriving at home, Caroline knows all what happened about the murder of the Mrs. Ferrar, and similarly before that, Mr. Ferrar death, she also told that maybe he was poisoned by his wife. So, dear student, this was the lesson. Hope you understood it well. You will try to learn it and will memorize it. So, let's come to the exercise given at the end. Here in the exercise, comprehension and vocabulary are given. You can see on the given slides. Here is the exercise A, B. Some use these words and phrases in sentences so as to make their meaning clear. So here are some phrases. You can find them on the night of the purposely delayed a few moments. Suspect verb, not my fault, prove and confess. So I think eight words are given here. So inshallah, now we will use them in sentences so that we can understand their meaning well. Here, explain the meaning of these phrases as used in the passage. Number one, had a strong feeling. Date. Number B, common knowledge. And number three, does not base her accusation on this fact. And number four, Caroline paid no attention. And number five, I secretly believe. So dear students, and here at the end you can find questions. You will find in the next slide the answer of all these three sections A, B, and C. So let's move to next slide. Here, this is the next slide. You can find the vocabulary of these exercise number A. Number first word is used here. Devotees gather on the night of the full moon to offer Fatiha at the tomb of Chanan Pir. This is Chanan Pir, absolutely a new word. So this word is used here in this sentence, dear students. You can find on the night of the. So in this sentence, on the night of the full moon is used. Let's move to next sentence. Purposely here used in the sentence. I purposely left for class 10 minutes early, walking slowly to enjoy the beautiful morning. Next is, dear students, they delayed their departure in order to spend the weekend with their granddaughter. Delayed is used here in this sentence. Here, number four, it took me a few moments, but I finally managed to untie the knot in my shoelace. Untie is used here. Here, the fourth word is delayed. Delayed is used, sorry, a few moment is used in sentence number four. Sentence number four, a few moment is used. Now, number five, I suspect that the leak is from a broken tile on the roof. Suspect is used here. Suspect is here used in the sentence. Dear students, you can find as a verb. Not my fault will use in the next sentence. Number six, He is a growing boy. It is not his fault that he is hungry all of the time. Not its fault, not his fault is used here in the sentence. Number seven, Pakistan will not suspend any cricket players for match fixing without proof of the wrongdoing. So suspend is used here in this sentence. The last sentence, the young man broke up with his girlfriend in an email confessing that he was in love with someone else. So, dear student, here word number 8, confess is used. Confessing word is used in sentence number 8. Let's come to exercise B. Explain the meaning of these phrases as used in the passage. So, here we use them in the passage. Firmly believe that, this is the answer key, means that sometime that everyone knows, sometime that everyone knows. Common knowledge means sometime that everyone knows. Does not base her accusation on this fact. So here you can find base her accusation on intuition or gut feeling. So this is the another meaning of the given phrase. Caroline did not react to get upset. This is the meaning of number 4 phrase. Caroline paid no attention. Yani it means Caroline did not react or get upset. The last uh, praise word meaning is held an opinion without telling anyone. This is the meaning, same meaning of the given praise, which is number 5. I secretly believed. I secretly believed. Here is the praise meaning, held an opinion without telling anyone. Dear student, this was exercise number B. The answer is key given there. You can find on the slide. Here is exercise number C. The given question answers, 6 question answers are given there. This is question number 1. Why was the writer sent for when Mrs. Ferrars died? So the answer is here, because he is the village doctor and he must write a death certificate, so he went there. Next question, question number 2. Try to explain in your own words why Dr. Shipper delayed a few moments in the hall. So the answer is here, dear students. He wanted time to think about what he should say to his sister Caroline so that she would not guess his secrets. Number third question is, why did Caroline think that Mrs. Ferrars had poisoned her husband? The answer is here. Caroline knew all of the local gossip and could see the strain in Mrs. Ferrars' life, so she put two and two together to conclude that Mrs. Ferrars had poisoned her husband. Question number 4 is, how did Caroline get her information? So the answer is here. She got her information from servants and local tradesmen such as the milkmen. Number 5 question is, dear students, explain in your own words how, in Caroline's opinion, Mrs. Ferrars had died. So the answer is here, that Caroline believes that Mrs. Ferrars committed suicide by taking an overdose of the sleeping medicine. And the last question, question number 6 is, why did Dr. Shepard tell Caroline that she was wrong? So the answer of this question is here, because Dr. Shepard did not want his sister to learn the truth and find out his secrets. So dear students, I hope you learn these 3 exercises. Exercise A, word meaning used in the sentence, and phrases given meaning words. Exercise B, and similarly exercise C, 6 questions are there and you can find the answer on the screen. So let's move to another slide. This is, dear students, exercise number A and B are given here. You can find the given exercise, the given examples also on the screen. So now, exercise number A, repeat these sentences using not as. So not as is used here in the given sentences. You can find number according to the given examples. Number 1, the film was less exciting than the book. So here we will use not. The film was not as exciting as the book. Not is used here in the answer sentence. Next sentence is we are repeating this sentence by using not as. Not as. The walk was less exhausting than the climb. So here the not as is used. The walk was not as exhausting as the climb. Number three sentence, cats are less intelligent than dogs. So here we use not as. Cats are not as intelligent as dogs. Number four is boys are less hardworking than girls. So not as is used here. Boys are not as hardworking as girls. And the last sentence of exercise is number five sentence, running is less tiring than swimming. Not as is used here. Running is not as tiring as swimming. So dear students, these were the given five sentences where I used not as in the given sentences. Here you can find number B exercise. Repeat these sentences using less than. So here in these sentences I used less than word. You can find here. Number one, cycling is not so dangerous as climbing mountains. So here I use less. Cycling is less dangerous than climbing mountain. Less than is used here. Less dangerous than climbing mountains. Number two sentence, he was not so grateful as his sister. So here use he was less grateful. Less is used here. He was less grateful than his sister. Number third, she was not so courageous as her brother. So she was less courageous. She was less courageous than her brother. This is used here, dear student, and then in this sentence, less than is used. Number four, snow is not so likely as rain. Snow is less likely than rain. Snow is less likely than rain. Less than is used here in this sentence. The last sentence, the problems were not so difficult as we expect. The problems were less difficult, were not so difficult. Here were less difficult than we expected. So here, dear students, I used less than in these sentences according to the given examples you can find here on the slide. Let's move to another slide. Dear students, this is I think the last slide of the given exercise. This is the last exercise where the space is mentioned in the sentence and we have to find the word, missing word for these sentences. This is the missing word for these sentences. Number one, complete these sentences. This is exercise number C. Complete these sentences. That is the dash cake I have ever tasted. That is the dash cake I have ever tasted. So here the example is also given, dear students, in the book page. You can find that page on page number 164, where the superlatives degrees is used. And here we will, inshallah, try to write the same degrees in the missing space. That is the dash cake I have ever tasted. So that number sentence number one, you can use both word best or worst. That is the best cake I have ever tasted. So superlative degree is here used. James is easily dash best player in the team. James is the best. The will come the. James is easily the best player in the team. Next is number three. I haven't much money, so I must buy the pen. So I must buy the cheapest pen. Cheapest will come here in this space. It is the missing word. Number four is the teacher said that he was dash dash pupil in the class, he was the best pupil in the class, or he was the worst pupil in the class. Both can come here, dear students. In this is the both superlative degrees can come best or worst in this space. Number five, this is the dash exercise in the book. So here the easiest will come. This is the easiest, easy, easier, easiest. Easiest is superlative degree, which you use here in this space, exercise in the book. The easiest exercise in the book. It was the dash deed I have ever seen. It was the bravest. Okay, brave, braver, bravest. So here the last degree of brave is used in this space. It was the bravest deed I have ever seen. Number seven, write about three dashes are here experience you have ever had. So here we can put the most exciting, the most thrilling, okay, experience. Write about the most exciting experience or the most thrilling experience you have ever had. Number eight is she was dash dash obedient girl. She was a most obedient. She was the most obedient girl will come here in this space. This has been dash most enjoyable day. This has been most a most enjoyable day. A most will come here. The last word is please bring me dash dash ice cream you have. Please bring me the best ice cream you have or the cheapest ice cream you have. So dear students, these were the missing words. Most of these words are in superlative. Sometimes we use a before most. So here we use in some places a and in some places the superlative degrees. This is a most interesting book. So, dear students, if you have any ambiguity regarding this exercise, especially, so you must read page number 164 there about this exercise number C. Examples and a little bit of detail is given. By reading these examples and detail, you will better understand the below exercise. So, dear students, this was the last lesson of the English A, and I think the last exercise in English A I explained to you in detail. I hope you will learn it well. You will try to understand it well. And dear students, if you have any ambiguity, you will ask me the questions. I will provide you the material related to this lesson and this exercise. So hope you will learn the previous lecture well and this one also well, and will try to listen my next coming lectures in the coming days. So up to date, see you again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.